Devaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 13, texts 8 through 12. We'll cover from where we left yesterday. Asaktir anabhishvanga putradara grihadishu nityam cha samachittatvam ishtanishtopapatishu maichananya yogena bhaktiravyabhicharini viviktadesha sevitvam aratirjana samshadi adhyatmagnana nityatvam tatvajnanardhadarshanam etadgnanam iti proktam Agnanam yad atonyatha. So, asaktihi anabhishvangaha putradara grihadishu. Asakti means not attachment. Asakti. And anabhishvangaha, it's like detached from putradara grihadishu. From children, putra, dara means wife, and griha, family, how home. So, does it mean Bhagavad Gita is saying give up your family, give up your spouse, give up your children? So let's see what Prabhupada says in the purport. As for detachment from children, wife, and home, it is not meant that one should have no feeling for these. They are natural objects of affection. But when they are not favorable to spiritual progress, then one should not be attached to them. See, usually we get attached for sense gratification and we become disappointed when there is no sense gratification. So there is attachment and detachment on a material platform, elation and distress. So that is why one should not be attached. If you are attached for sense gratification, it will always lead to misery. So Prabhupada says one should be practical. They are natural objects of affection. But when they are not favorable to spiritual progress, one should not be attached to them. The best process for making the home pleasant is Krishna consciousness. If one is in full Krishna consciousness, he can make his home very happy because this process of Krishna consciousness is very easy. One need only chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and accept the remnants of foodstuffs offered to Krishna. Have some discussion on books like Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, and engage oneself in deity worship. These four will make one happy. So, what are these four? Always chant the holy name, Hare Krishna mantra, accept the prasada offered to Krishna, and have some discussion on books like Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, and engage in deity worship. So, if a Grihastha accommodates these four, deity worship means it can even have, a picture worship if we are not able to follow the standards. But as long as some kind of worship, because typically when there is a temple nearby, we consider the temple deity as our own deity and instead worship that deity. Or at home, we can have either Gaurnitai or a picture frame of Radha Krishna or Krishna Balaram, and you can worship. So these are the four things here Prabhupada says will make one happy. Krishna consciousness is meant to make one happy. Even on the material platform, one will be happy. We are all hankering for different kinds of happiness, but we always remain dissatisfied. But this process, these four things will make one happy in family life. And then Prabhupada says one should train the members of his family in this way. The family members can sit down morning and evening and chant together Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. If one can mold his family life in this way to develop Krishna consciousness, following these four principles, then there is no need to change from family life to renounced life. See, if we can have his family mold in this way, and it is sublime, everybody is progressing, family life will not be a obstacle. But if it is not congenial, not favorable for spiritual advancement, then family life should be abandoned. One must sacrifice everything to realize or serve Krishna, just as Arjuna did. Arjuna did not want to kill his family members, but when he understood that these family members were impediments to his Krishna realization, he accepted the instruction of Krishna and fought and killed them. Of course, that was an extreme case, killing, but the point is, we should not be hesitant to give up. Sometimes it may not be, we may not be able to literally give up, but in the heart we should develop attachment to Krishna and not be so attached to family if that is not being conducive. We should do our duty as is ordained by Krishna, as is placed by Krishna for a particular reason. But if the family is not conducive for our Krishna consciousness, we should not hanker for sense gratification on that platform. We should remain detached and instead focus on our own spiritual progress while not trying to actively disturb anything in that relation. That is why in Varnashram Dharma, you see these stages brahmacharya, then grihastha, vanaprastha, and sannyasa are prescribed. The idea is that you are naturally, you have to give up your family once you start your retired life, which is vanaprastha life after 50 years. Start cultivating detachment, and once you are trained properly, and then you take sannyasa, and then you completely give up. So Varnashram Dharma, the system itself encourages and a sort of nudges you to give up family because we should not remain attached to family throughout our life. We should develop attachment to Krishna. And that's what helps us to go back to Godhead, to overcome this material tribulations, life after life. That is our real family. One should not think, oh, I have given up my family and happiness. That is illusory happiness. Our real family is with Krishna. Krishna is waiting there. All our family members, the original family members, are waiting there when we will get back. So we have to have an active program to cultivate that consciousness back. You see in Chaitanya Charitamrita, there was this devotee Raghunath Das Goswami who was very, very spiritual from the childhood. So he wanted to give up the family life and join Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He attempted to run away from house many times. He was from a very wealthy background. It's like the Ambanis, the Birlas kind of wealth he had. And every time he would run away, his father and his uncle, they would have a lot of resources and men. They would scout for him and capture him and bring him back. And they even married him to a very beautiful girl. Still, he wouldn't look at her. And in this way, it was going on. And one time, with permission from his parents, he went and met Nityananda Prabhu, as Nityananda Prabhu was touring nearby. And actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was touring nearby, and he went and met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu counseled him, don't become so restless. Go back and do your material duties properly. And when time comes, Krishna will inspire you. You will have your heart's desire satisfied. So Raghunath Das Goswami became a little steady. After that, he goes back and he was taking care of his family, his business. He even bailed his father and uncle out of a big trouble from the government by his shrewd tactics and diplomatic dealings. And then finally, he found that opportunity when Krishna inspired him to give up his family and went and joined Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So there are examples in our line how one should take care of one's duties as long as it is ordained by the authority, by the spiritual master. That was one example. While there are other examples where one continued to be grihastha, taking care of the family, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Of course, in the end, he became completely renounced. But he was an ideal grihastha, our previous acharya. He had a very high job as a judge, and he was preaching, and he had a lot of other engagements as well with the government, giving him high responsibilities. But he was doing all of that very nicely. And he had produced several children and raised them in Krishna consciousness. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the spiritual master of Srila Prabhupada, he was the one of the most effulgent sons of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So he showed how to lead an ideal grihastha life. He was so elevated that Gaurakishore Das Babaji Maharaj accepted Bhaktivinoda Thakur as his spiritual master. Gaurakishore Das Babaji Maharaj was a renounced person. He had no family. He was just absorbed in Krishna Kirtan, Krishna Bhajan. And then he found Bhaktivinoda Thakur, even though he was a Grihastha, family man, having children, having responsibilities, he found to be a Mahabhagavat. He accepted Bhaktivinoda Thakur as Mahabhagavat, accepted him as his guru. And you see Bhaktivinoda Thakur's writings, how powerful, his songs, so meaningful, so melodious. So it means that one can be a grihastha or a sannyasi or a brahmachari or a woman. It doesn't matter. Kiba vipra kibanyasi shudra kene noi ye Krishna tattva vetta sei guru hoy. Whether you are a brahmana or sannyasi, shudra, family man, renounced man, doesn't matter. A Krishna tattva vetta, if you have really understood Krishna, if you are truly engaged, purely engaged in Krishna consciousness, then you can be a guru. So you can see family life is not an impediment provided you follow exactly as prescribed in the scriptures. Bhagavatam also says, Rishabhadeva teaches, Eva mayishe krita sauhrudardha गृहेषु देहं भरवार्तिकेषु गृहेषु जायात्मजरातिमत्सु न प्रीति युक्ता यावदर्धाश्च लोके. So the devotee who may have griha, wife, children, but he is not attached to them. His goal is eva maishe krita sauhrudardha janeshu deham bharavartikeshu. Even though he may be in all these obligations, he should be considered a great devotee. So that's how we should. But of course, as I said, Ideal, this is ideal situation if you can train your family members. One should try to train. If one is it's not possible, then one should not become attached. One should cultivate our own Krishna consciousness while doing whatever duty we can towards the family. And then the next item Prabhupada mentions Nityam cha samachittattvam ishtanishtopapatishu. Always Nityam cha samachittattvam. Samachittam means be maintain equanimity. In what? Ishta anishta upapatishu. Ishta means something favorable, something happy. Anishta means something unfavorable happened, distressful. So Prabhupada says, in all cases, one should be detached from happiness and distress of family life. Because in this world, one can never be fully happy or fully miserable. It's a very powerful statement. In this world, one can never be fully happy or fully miserable. How? Let's say you are getting laughter. Somebody is cracking jokes and you're laughing, laughing. And after a while, you say, no, 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 please stop. I cannot laugh further. My stomach is aching. Or the parents say, oh, don't laugh so much. Stop laughing. Because they're laughing also, there is limit. After which it becomes problematic. When there is misery, you cry. You keep on crying for hours and days, even. And after a while, the tears won't come. You won't. You have already hit the bottom, rock bottom. There is nothing more to go. There cannot be more misery. You get used to it. So similarly, happiness or distress, they are like the tides, peaks and valleys, crests and troughs. The material life should be considered like the ocean, sometimes going up, sometimes coming down, these waves. So happiness and distress are concomitant factors of material life. Concomitant means one is there, the other is also there. Like you toss a coin. The coin has both sides, isn't it? You cannot say, oh, I'll take only this. I'll not take the other side. No, it's part and parcel. If you accept the advantage of one side, you also have to be ready for the other side when it comes. Like the hen which is giving golden eggs. And this foolish man cut off the back portion, I mean, front portion, because that is consuming all his food. But that's not how it works. Ardha kukkuta nyaya. You cannot only squeeze happiness. People try to squeeze happiness, only happiness from life, but that's not possible. Even though they don't like, distress comes. Sukham aindriyakam daitya deha yogena dehinam sarvatra labhyate daivad yadha dukkam anashnatah. Sukham is aindriyakam. It comes with the contact with the senses, sense objects. Deha yogena dehinam. Sarvatra labhyate, and it is there in all the species, all kinds of material bodies. And automatically it is there. Yadha dukkham manashnatah. Just like dukkha also comes uninvitedly, sukha also comes uninvitedly. Therefore, here it is said, one should learn to tolerate, as advised in Bhagavad Gita. One can never restrict the coming and going of happiness and distress. So one should be detached from the materialistic way of life and be automatically equipoised in both cases. Generally, when we get something desirable, we are very happy. And when we get something undesirable, we are distressed. But if we are actually in spiritual position, these will not agitate us. So there was a man in the village, and he had a beautiful wild horse. It was the attractive thing for everyone in the village. And they were all envious. And he would go for a ride and he was enjoying. And then one day, something happened to this horse. It just ran away. And everyone became very sorrowful. Oh, such a bad thing happened. And then this man, the owner, he said, well, maybe, maybe not. And then they were not able to understand. And then they went back home. And the next day, they saw that this wild horse came back with four other horses, his friends, from a long place. They all came inside the courtyard of this man, and they were his to own. So one horse became four horses, and people became even more envious. Oh, and they all came, see, such a fortune you have. And he said, maybe, maybe not. And then they went back home. And then the next day, this young son of this man, he was very excited to drive these new horses. And he got on to them. And because they were not tamed, in these horses, you have to first, what they call, break them. Meaning, otherwise they are wild. They can cause injury with their wild ride. So he got on and he broke his leg. The horse threw him down. Oh, what a tragedy. They all came to console this man. Sorry to hear it happened to your son. He said, maybe, maybe not. What a tragedy. Maybe, maybe not. And then they all couldn't understand. Your son broke your leg and, it's not a tragedy. You're saying maybe not? Yeah, maybe, maybe not. And then they all went back. And then the next day, there was an announcement that there was an imminent war, and a lot of able-bodied men had to be needed for the fight in the army, and everybody was getting picked up. The king sent this army to pick up all the men from the village for the fight, and all the young men, and everybody, all the young sons of all these villagers, they were all picked up except this young son of this villager, because he's broke his leg and he is of no use for them. You see, what they thought as a tragedy proved to be a cause of happiness, which is again temporary. Who knows what will happen? So, like that, we should always tolerate. This too shall pass. Everything shall pass. Therefore, in the midst of all these ups and downs, we should maintain the constant line. It's like the graph, right? The graph goes up and down, but we should have a constant line of progress towards Krishna consciousness. Sukhe dukhe bhulo na ko vadane hari naam koro re gai gaura madhur sware. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, whether sukha or dukkha, go on chanting, go on engaging in devotional service. And vivikta desha sevitvam aratir jana samshadi. Vivikta desha sevitvam means aratir jana samsadi. Naturally, when one is adapted to the spiritual way of life, he'll not want to mix with materialistic men. That would go against his grain. One may test himself by seeing how far he is inclined to live in a solitary place without unwanted association. This is what is Vivikta Desha Sevitvam. Or how far he is inclined to live in a solitary place without unwanted association. That is why people, they have the inclination to go to far off place, some retreat, to spend some time free of all the noise. And galata. But then in the heart, because they have not developed detachment, that desires come back and we come back and we want fun again. But a spiritualist, one should test how far we are inclined to live in a solitary place without unwanted association. And actually, in Kali Yuga, it's not possible. Even if you go to the forest, there is sense gratification everywhere. That is how the materialists they try to squeeze material sense gratification everywhere. So therefore, instead of that, one should live in the association of devotees. Then automatically you give up unwanted association. Aratir jana samsadi. You will not want to mix with materialistic men. अत्याहार प्रयासश्च प्रजल्पो नियमाग्रहैः जनसंगस्य लौल्यं च षड्भिर्भक्तिः विनश्यति. Six things will destroy our Krishna consciousness. What are those? Atyahara, overeating or over accumulating. Prayasa, over endeavoring. Prajalpa, unwanted talking, gossiping, which is of no use either spiritually or materially. Social media. And Atyahara prayasascha prajalpo niyamagraha, not following rules and regulations given in scriptures, doing whatever one wants without regulation for sense gratification, and uh, janasangaha, associating with worldly minded people who will inject all kinds of sense gratificatory thoughts, and laulyam, and greediness. These are the six things which will destroy our bhakti. So one should give up this janasanga and instead associate with mahajanasanga. महत्सेवाम द्वारम आहुर्विमुक्ते तमोद्वारम योषिताम संगी संगम. दुर्लभ मानव जन्म सत्संगे तारहो ए भव सिंधुरे. This durlabha manava janma, you make your manava janma perfect by satsanga, and then you can cross this ocean of material existence. So I'll stop here. Anyone has any questions, comments? Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai. Srila